2023 may have been a quiet year, one in which there was neither a focus on innovation nor a focus on enhancing the quality of the already ongoing 2D music projects out there. Still, there were a couple of warriors that made their way through in a year to forget. At the same time, there were indeed some 2D music projects that started to fade away from the spotlight. Some announced hiatuses, others ended activities, whereas others didn't have any activity whatsoever, but also no official announcement of an end in sight. In this episode, let's cover both the highs and lows in 2D music projects in 2023, with a big focus on the newly launched 2D music projects. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyuu Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is new 2D music projects that took the spotlight in 2023. This is an episode split into two acts. First, you and I are going to talk about the 2D music projects that took the spotlight in 2023, but also let's cover the projects that are slowly fading away, regardless of their quality, or that opted to go dark in 2023 to regroup and make a return in 2024. Highlights. Uradol. Although the project was first announced in late 2022, Uradol only started its promotions, releasing music and focusing on attracting attention to the group in 2023. At the moment of writing the script for this episode, the franchise only has one idol group, SPY-AM, in its lineup and has released 3 CDs that include drama tracks and songs. This project is about the idols, part of the group SPY-AM, who are hiding a big secret that they are protecting until they make their dreams come true. The project has a star-studded cast, and according to Eternal Voyage, fans will influence the story through voting. As such, the story of SPY-AM and whether they achieve their dream will be in their hands. At the moment I am writing this feature, I've already checked some of the songs by this group, and honestly, if you are a fan of pop music, you will certainly enjoy this group. Personally, I feel like SPY-AM may bring something interesting with the story, as well as the unusual choice of a main cast filled with veterans. I'm talking about Ken, Wataru Hatano and Tomoaki Maino. But the music did little to me. It doesn't sound groundbreaking or that different from every single generic 2D pop idol group. Time will tell if there are any changes or surprising turns in their sound that will at least hook me in. Executioner. Another Visual Kei project joined the 2D music scene following the steps of Fly Me Project, Visual Prison, Magatsu Note, and even Visual Karma. In this case, Executioner brought a mix of experienced and extremely technical singers and newcomers both to music and the voice acting scene. This is a unique project with a wacky dark fantasy concept blending battle, action, apocalyptic thinking, which is basically an endless loop of the end of the century, also Sentai heroes and Visual Kei rock. It sounds wacky, it is wacky. The project features 3 bands, with its vocalists being Masaaki Mizunaka, Jin Ogasawara and Shunichi Toki, and let me tell you, they more than impressed me. The music in this franchise features original songs created by Japanese Visual Kei rock artists, such as the Visual Kei band Penicillin, and the band's stories unfold around the powerful and refined music that each band will release. The project has high ambitions, and I hope they will be around longer than most Visual Kei projects that launched in the past couple of years. VK Sentai Executioner is easily one of the best songs released in 2023 by a 2D group. Impressive performance on top of a hard-hitting instrumental. At the moment I'm writing this feature, the franchise has started to release songs per band, with each of the frontmen taking over. This is a good sign of things to come in the future, especially as the story is now also starting to be unveiled through drama tracks. This is easily the best 2D music project to launch in 2023. Grey Sheep. Close to the end of the year, Mages announced the launch of a new 2D music project, Grey Sheep. With a star-studded lineup and 2 unique groups, this franchise was announced in a year in which there was very little activity when it came to announcing new 2D groups. With a cast including Makoto Furukawa, Kentito, Shunichi Toki and Seiichiro Yamashita, just to name a few, it sounds like this project, if handled correctly, may be one of the biggest surprises in 2024. At the moment, there is an announcement of a CD to be released in 2024, but there is little to talk about at the moment. The Down Lights. Dear Vocalist. In 2023, the Dear Vocalist franchise was in radio silence for the very first time since its launch in 2015. Fans don't know what is happening to this awesome 2D rock franchise and why the long silence after a successful 7th season of CDs that wrapped up in 2022. While it may not have been directly connected, all projects at Reject stopped in 2023 due to Daisuke Iwasaki's hospitalization early in the year. For those that do not know, Iwasaki is the CEO of Reject, and usually the projects under Reject move when he moves. This year, Dear Vocalist, Pythagoras Production, Carnelian Blood and many other projects came to a complete halt, with no news or details about when they will return. At the same time, the Fabulous Night franchise was active, but then again, this is a joint project with Marvelous, so it was able to continue to release music and be active in 2023, contrary to those exclusively Reject projects. I would love to have Dear Vocalist back, as it is one of the best 2D music projects out there. The rock music is innovative, the stories are unique and gripping, and the cast is unbelievably good. And of course, there is still a lot of potential for more storytelling beats to be explored and further developed. Visual Karma. In 2023, Visual Karma, a 2D Visual Kei franchise, continued to leave its mark, or to try to leave a mark, and attract new fans to its music and concept. However, much to their frustration, nothing worked. The bands rarely released any music, and activity on social media was not engaging, and thus did not attract fans to interact with the project. It seems that there is a detachment between the creators and the project itself, as it looks like it is drifting away without any clear direction. In my opinion, this franchise may never return after what fans got in 2023, which was sparse communication and all of a sudden, the announcement that all story updates were coming to a stop. While not officially announced, the project is most likely shelved silently, like what was done to Perfection Noise back in 2022. However, contrary to Perfection Noise, which had a unique take on idol music, in this case Visual Karma was riddled with problems, starting from its name being similar to Visual Prison, as well as the story being underwhelming and not at all refreshing. The fact that the cast pretty much consisted of newcomers AU wasn't necessarily an issue, at least nowadays it's more frequent for projects with popular AU to fail than those with newcomers, rookies or underrated AU. Still, for most people looking for familiar faces and voices in a 2D music project to have a connection with it, Visual Karma also didn't provide that. All things considered, this project, unless something drastically changes, seems to have doomed itself right from the start and unfortunately met its end in 2023. The Last Metal. 2023 was a rough year for the franchise, which came out of a disastrous debut CD with Welcome to the Deadlight City. This year we saw the project going radio silent soon after the CD bombed on the Oricon charts, barely selling enough copies to cover its costs with the cast and music video production. While the concept was exciting, and I am saying this as a metalhead, its execution was poor from start to finish. The focus on wanting to reach fans, but then focusing too much on putting on the spotlight not the Seiyu, but the star guitarists from the 80s was odd and definitely a bad step. While I am all for giving credit and spotlight to those behind the music, our favorite 2D groups and bands perform, I also know that most fans don't care about that, much less when you mention that the project is about authentic metal music and then you put Seiyu on a live music video, a cool one, but after that the focus shifts completely to the star guitarists working on the music, and honestly no one was interested in that, especially as most fans were born in the 2000s and don't even know how important those composers or guitarists are. For old folk like me, it was interesting to have 80s rock stars joining the project, but as I mentioned, it was poorly executed. You can have amazing music and put the spotlight almost entirely on the characters and Seiyu instead of the composition team. If the compositions are good, I bet with you people will want to know more. Just check Hanadol and Skipro's groups. While the projects don't actively promote their composers, fans want to know who they are and follow their careers because their music is good. I feel this is a good balance that The Last Metal missed completely. Then the marketing strategy was all over the place. While bringing an interesting Seiyu lineup, those Seiyu were barely talking about the project. There was no interesting video content diving into the behind the scenes of the compositions of their songs, which would be an interesting way to introduce the guitarists and the composers to the fans. As a fan of rock music, The Last Metal was the project I was the most excited about in early 2023, but soon it turned into an absolute nightmare quality-wise to the point that it put me off completely. I feel that for this project to revive itself, it needs a different focus and mindset. Rock fans deserve quality rock music from a purist project such as this one. We just need the execution to be done right. Tokimeki Restaurant. In 2023, the project celebrated its 10th anniversary and announced its end. Sheep and Three Majesty bid goodbye to their fans after a series of exciting pop releases and awesome performances. I've been following this project since the smartphone game was launched, and I was really into Sheep for a long time. Their music was bold and sexy, which was rare back then. Yes, by now, almost all 2D music projects have a sexy group, from the cheesy ones even down to those that make you blush with how mature they are, but back then, when this project started, only Sheep had that for them. At the same time, Three Majesty was all about its regal concept, and their music and performances more than illustrated that gentle, caring side to the group's vibe. While the project was really big back in 2013, with the boom of 2D music projects in 2015, people started to pay more attention to the new projects appearing in the scene. At the same time, Universal Music Japan was not investing enough in the project, not holding any live shows, music or talk, with the Seiyu cast, something that made the group exclusively 2D. While this was a good strategy that eventually led to live shows with the 3D CGI characters, it took away some of the excitement that other 2D music projects brought with the separation between the Seiyu cast and their characters, holding events in which fans get to engage with both sides. For me, the biggest mistake this project made was not releasing music more frequently. The game was fun, but had close to nothing to do with music, and even when the game closed, the franchise continued to release music spaced between each other. In a competitive industry such as 2D music, as of late, is virtually impossible for a 2D music project to make a big impact. Tokimeki Restaurant was another victim. A pity, really, because I love this project to bits and I still hold a soft spot for many of their songs so far. No matter how much I dig and analyze 2023, the more I get the feeling that this was an odd year. Very few new 2D music projects were launched, and some long-running projects ended up announcing their end or went on a weird hiatus that is yet to be explained. On my end, I love Executioner's music and I want more from the three bands. Visual kei rock music is one of my favorite genres, and as a concept, it has limitless opportunities to be unique and really leave a mark. Also, the lineup is quite amazing and talented. I've said it before, but prior to this project, I was not familiar with Masaaki Mizunaka's singing skills, but color me impressed. He can hold his own and impress alongside the vastly more experienced Shunichi Toki and Jin Ogasawara. As for the 2D music projects that went under the radar in 2023, I have yet to understand why Dear Vocalist and Carnelian Blood went absolutely radio silent this year. There is some speculation that with Daisuke Iwasaki's hospitalization early in the year, every new CD series for their 2D music projects was kept on hold because the decision maker was not able to give his feedback. For those that do not know, Iwasaki is the CEO of Reject and an important figure at the company when it comes to the creative direction of its 2D music projects. Still, it feels weird that a new CD season for each of these projects wasn't approved before 2023 started, especially due to the fact that budgets for such things need to be approved before the new year. 2023 felt weird without Dear Vocalist after 7 years of releasing music and stories. Such a character and story-driven series being radio silent left a massive empty spot this year. At the same time, while Erosion was active early in the year, after releasing its second album, the band went radio silent following exactly the same pattern as Dear Vocalist. The only 2D music franchise that was active in 2023 and was partially from Reject was Fabulous Night, and that is because it is a joint project with Marvelous, and as such, in Iwasaki's absence, the project was able to continue. All this to say, I wanted more Dear Vocalist and Carnelian Blood music, but got none or very few in 2023. Now tell me, which was the 2D music project launched in 2023 that impressed you the most? And which 2D music project do you wish was more active in 2023? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male Seiyu and music related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male Seiyu artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyu Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.